Welcome back to the Technology Toolkit for Shluchim. We already began discussing Pipedrive and how it will hopefully be very useful, almost critical, to supporting your efforts in fundraising. Today we're going to speak about something you may have seen, may not have seen. It's called the sales funnel. And we're going to try and apply this as well to fundraising. And specifically to fundraising as Shluchim. There's obviously many ways to skin this cat, so as to speak, but we're just going to use one basic example. I'm going to go ahead and use that paper right behind me to show you how this works. Okay, so the sales funnel basically looks like a inverted triangle. And at the top of the triangle are people. And we attempt to feed in as many people as possible. They go through various steps. And at the bottom of the funnel, they turn out as money. So the objective of any sales funnel is to take a large number of people, large, of course, defined by whatever your particular market and type of product is, and by doing various steps with them, converting them from prospects or potentials into customers, people who are giving you money. That's called a sales funnel. Now, typically, a sales funnel will be made up of a number of predefined steps. And sometimes it takes a little while until you can become aware of understanding what these steps might be in your particular process. But basically, there's going to be a lot more people in the first step. And then, at a certain point, you're going to make a decision. Does this person move from step 1 into step 2? Or are we going to lose this person and he drops out of the funnel? Now, when we drop him out of the funnel, that doesn't mean that he's gone forever from our system. It just means, for whatever reason, we've decided that he's not going to be a live customer this round. And therefore, we're not going to put our attention on this person because we only have a limited amount of attention and resources. So we're going to focus our attention and resources on, let's say, the live players, the people who we think are going to make it to the next step. Then at a certain point, we typically call these points trigger points. Then at the next step, we see, is he going to make it into the next bucket, or are we going to lose him? Finally, we're going to do that once again, or are we going to lose him? And then at the very end, he's either going to turn into an actual customer, a customer defined as somebody who has given us money, or once again, we may have to lose him. So the objective of a sales funnel is to convert people from being potential customers to being actual customers. In our case, it may be prospects or people, ideas, people we think may want to support us, into people who are actually supporting the activities of Chabad of your town. It's very important that all the parts of these funnels be predefined, so we know, for example, I'm going to give you a funnel with 4 steps. We know what the 4 steps in the funnel are. We should also know, when do we want to lose people? Losing them doesn't mean that they're gone forever. It just means we're no longer going to pay attention to them in a very concentrated effort at this moment. And then finally, what are all of the steps to get them to become a donor? I've worked this out with a friend of mine who's a shliach also, and he's actually implemented this particular funnel pretty successfully. I'm going to share it with you. We could create all different types of funnels, and it also depends on what type of campaign you're running. Obviously, if you're running a building campaign, it might look a little different than if you are running a annual campaign versus something that's consistent. All of them may look a little different, but I think they all do share these 4 qualities. But even if not, that's fine. Define it however you want to define it. The point is that you define these steps. So we put as step number 1, potential. That could be anybody who you think, for whatever reason, might want to give to your Chabad house. This could be people who you know are donors in your community in general, people that you've never met before, perhaps, people who have visited your Chabad house, but you've never asked them for money. There's all different ways for them to become potential donors. The next one we call, semi-humorously, RIP. And it doesn't stand for what you think it might stand for. Instead, it stands for relationship in progress. They may spend a lot of time here. That's where you are creating a relationship, spending time with them, perhaps learning Torah with them, perhaps inviting them for Shabbos, etc., so that you're building a relationship to the point where A, you can now measure their interest in supporting you, and B, that they have reason that they feel they should be supporting you. Other people may wind up actually spending a very short period of time in the relationship and process, and you may decide for some people to skip it altogether. But I think that typically that's going to be where people spend a significant amount of time. The next is ripe, and that stands for nothing. Ripe simply is they are ripe. You feel at this point that they are ready to be asked. Now, what makes the definition of potential to relationship in progress to ripe? That's something you kind of have to work out on your own. But what you should have at every given point are certain triggers where you say, you know what, after the second Shabbos in my house, I've got to make a decision. Are they going to move to ripe, or am I going to drop them out of my sales funnel? That's just one example of what could be a trigger. There's hundreds of triggers, potential triggers. You figure it out in your own world, and it could be a multiple of triggers as well. It could be a certain number of phone calls. It could be a certain amount of time if they spend too much time in the RIP category, whatever. You got to figure that out a little bit on your own. I'm also available for consultation as a coach to help you figure that out if you think that I can be helpful. Once they are ripe, obviously we got to move them into the next and almost final category, which is asked. Now, everybody knows that once you've asked somebody for money doesn't mean that the game is over. They may or may not respond at that moment. They may say, let me think about it, call me back in a month, call me back in a week, call me back, I'm waiting for a deal to go through, whatever it is. The point is, until you have money in your pocket or in your bank account, they're still inside of your funnel. They only move out of your funnel at the point that the cash is in the bank. So this might be an example of a sales funnel. You'll notice that it's an inverted triangle because you're going to have a lot more people in the potential world, hopefully, than you will in your relationship in progress world. And you should have more people in your relationship in progress than people who are already ripe, and you should have more people who are ripe than people who you have asked but still have not gotten money from. Typically, a healthy funnel will look like this triangle. Sometimes there are exceptions, but typically you want it to look sort of like a triangle. In the next videos, hopefully, we'll be able to discuss a little bit more about what how to set this up on Pipedrive. But for now, I just want you to know that at the trigger point, you always have a simple decision to make, and it's a 3-part decision. Number 1, do I win them? Are they won? Number 2, are they lost? Once again, it doesn't mean gone forever. It just means lost from this particular round of fundraising. And number 3, do I move them? Am I moving them from one step, one area in your process to the next area or to the next area? So at every trigger space, we want to have a decision, won, lost, or move. And that's basically what we need to know. Once again, wishing you lots and lots of hatzlacha. I will show you in the next video how to actually begin to set this up. And if you have any questions, as always, reach out to me, Shluchim at RafiRosenberg.com or RafiRosenberg.com /Shluchim. Hatzlacha Rabbah.